Hello students, I am VLN Swarupini, lecturer in biochemistry from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Sciences, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. Now I would like to uh, give a lecture about basic microbiology, and this basic microbiology is the paper for 6th semester students, biochemistry paper for the 6th semester students. And in this particular paper, we have 5 units, and we'll see about microbiology, history and development of the microbiology, and also diversity of microbial world, and viruses, bacteria, protozoans, algae, and fungi in detail. Okay, so let's start with the unit 1, history and development of microbiology, under which we'll see how microbiology evolved day by day with many works and contributions of different scientists. Okay, so firstly we should know what is microbiology. Simply, microbiology is the study of microorganisms. Okay, this microbiology is the study of microorganisms. Okay, if you see the definition of microbiology, it is the branch of science that deals with microbes. Through microbiology, we study about the occurrence, distribution, structure, reproduction, and economical uses of microbes. Okay, so this is the definition. That means we study on microbes, and under the study, what we see, we see about the occurrence, the distribution, and about their structure, reproduction, and also their economical uses. So collectively we consider them as microbiology. Okay, so totally we have 5 kinds of microbes: bacteria, protozoa, algae, fungi, and viruses. Okay, and these 5 kinds of microbes, these are omnipresent. That means these are present everywhere, on every surface, on everything, in every mode, in the air, on water, in water, and in every place we can see these microbes. Okay, so that's why we call these microbes as omnipresent. Okay, and this microbiology is a very important subject which deals with the different kinds of microorganisms. Okay, and every biology or every science will have a pioneer and a father. Okay, so in the same manner microbiology also have a father for the science. Okay, here can you answer the father of microbiology? Okay, we all know that is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, so Anton von Leeuwenhoek is the father of microbiology. Okay, and he's from Dutch, and here at the initial stage he is not a microbiologist or a scientist. Okay, initially he's a cloth merchant. Okay, initially he's a cloth merchant, but how his life went forward into the study of these microbes or led into the science means this Anton von Leeuwenhoek, being a cloth merchant, he used to observe each and every cloth under lens to check the quality of the cloth and also to check the quality of the threads that have been used in the cloth makeup. Okay, so during that period he got interest over this lens, and he used to observe every material he got. That means everything he used to observe under this particular lens. So in that manner he developed a microscope. Okay, and he designed and developed a microscope by himself in the year 1674. Okay, in the 1674 for the first time he developed a microscope. Okay, and in that microscope he started observing all the materials like scrapings from his mouth and drainage water. He observed drainage water, and he observed a bottle cork. So he observed under this microscope every material that is available to him. He used to observe under the microscope, and he in that okay, in that manner he observed a small organisms in that material, and he named them as animalcules. Okay, animalcules, and he is the first person to to identify a microorganism, and he named them as animalcules. Okay, so and as we discussed, in the year 1674 he designed a small microscope. Okay, but he is not the first person to develop this microscope. uh, Before only Robert Hooke, he developed a microscope. He is the first person to develop microscope, but this Anton von Leeuwenhoek, without any scientific knowledge, only with the curiosity and only with his personal interest, he developed a microscope only with his interest. Okay, so and for his development, or for his uh, development of the microscope, he got inspiration from the Robert Hooke design. Okay, this Robert Hooke, he developed a microscope, and he wrote a book regarding this microscope titled Micrographia, and from this Micrographia book he got inspiration, and he developed that microscope. Who? Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, and basically, this Anton von Leeuwenhoek is the first person to describe bacteria and also protozoa. Okay, firstly he observed these microorganisms and named them as animalcules, and he is the first one to observe bacteria and protozoa under microscope. Okay, and in 1677 he described protozoa. Okay, so he is the first one to describe protozoa, and also red blood cells were also first time described by Anton von Leeuwenhoek only. So here, along with bacteria, protozoa, he also described structures of protozoa and also red blood cells. So if we see about the microscope which is developed by this Anton von Leeuwenhoek, and this particular Anton von Leeuwenhoek developed microscope which can magnify any object up to 300 times. Okay, but and this magnification is very higher when compared to Robert Hooke microscope. Okay, and he taken different kinds of samples like pond water, peppercorn, scrapings from the tongue, and uh, drainage water. This kind of samples were taken for his observations by Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, and in the 1976, he wrote a few letters to the Royal Society of London, in which he explained his observations and about his work and all. And here, Royal Society of London is a great and huge society for science. Okay, so these people, Royal Society of London, people who are present as members in the Royal Society, they'll consider different experiments. Okay, different kinds of research work and experiments, and they'll give patents and they'll give approval for the researches whatever been taken place around the place. Okay, so uh, this Anton von Leeuwenhoek, what he did is he wrote few letters to the Royal Society of London, and these Royal Society of London, what they did is they didn't recognize the work of Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, but after 2 centuries, around 1680, if you see his time period, he was born in the 1637, and he was dead in the 1723. Okay, and he got recognition in the 1680. And if you observe his first observation or first microscope developed in 1674. Okay, he developed microscope in the 1674, and he wrote letters in the 1676, and he got recognition in the 1680. So after 2 years of his work, he got recognized by this Royal Society of London, and they also selected him as a fellow member of the Royal Society of London. And we know in the later part he was regarded as the father of microbiology. So why he was regarded as father of microbiology means he is the first person to recognize a microorganism and name that particular organisms. Okay, so with his naked eye, we, that means the world came to know about the microorganisms. Okay, that's why in the later part of the time he got the title father of microbiology. Okay, so this is the work of Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Now let's see another scientist, another great scientist, that is Louis Pasteur. Okay, so let's move to the Louis Pasteur. And this Louis Pasteur is also called as father of immunology, and he started his career as professor of chemistry in the University of Lille. Okay, so if you see Anton von Leeuwenhoek, basically is a clock merchant and ended up to be a microbiologist and father of microbiology. And here if you see Louis Pasteur, he started his career as professor of chemistry, but and in the later part he became father of immunology, and he worked more and more on microbes also, and we also call him as father of fermentation technology. And Louis Pasteur, we all know pasteurization is the process which he developed for the elimination of microbes in the milk. So He started his career as professor in the chemistry, but later his interest and his works went on in the field of microbiology. Okay, so let's see how he started his work and what contributions he have given and what research work he had done in the field of microbiology. Okay, so initially he worked on diseases like febrile disease of silkworm, anthrax disease in cattle, and cholera and rabies in human. Okay, so he worked for silkworm diseases and disease in cattle and few diseases for human. That means what he did is he worked on those diseases and he helped to figure out what is the causative agent and what is the proper treatment for that particular disease. So in that manner he worked on febrile disease of silkworm, anthrax disease of cattle, and cholera and rabies in human. Okay, and Pasteur also developed different methods. He also developed this fermentation technology. Okay, so what he did is he worked on the fermentation technology and he for the first time explained about fermentation, and he implemented this fermentation of fruits. He identified the fermentation of fruits which leads to the formation of alcoholic products like wines or beers. Okay, so ultimately we can tell wine and beer production by fermentation technology is explained by this Louis Pasteur. Okay, he fermented different kinds of fruits and different kinds of grains for the production of this alcohol products like wine and beer. Okay, and here he also explained this fermentation of fruits or fermentation of grains to produce these alcoholic products is based on the fermentation of microorganisms. That means these microorganisms undergo fermentation process using these fruits or grains to produce alcohol. Okay, and we all know Pasteur also explained pasteurization process. Okay, pasteurization process. Okay, this pasteurization process is nothing but purification. This is for the purification of milk. Okay, in the pasteurization method we uh, we eliminate the unwanted or harmful bacteria which is present in the milk, and this pasteurization is particularly done at a standard particular temperature. Okay, and this pasteurization process doesn't affect the taste or flavor of the food product. And nowadays we all know we have many kinds of packaged foods. Okay, if we take juices or fruit juices or jams and chips, whatever the packaging food we are getting, this pasteurization is done at a particular temperature and it will not affect any flavor or taste of the food products. And nowadays whatever the packaging food we are getting, every food material is sterilized through this pasteurization process. Initially it is developed for milk, of course, but in the later part it is implemented to all kinds of food materials. Okay, and this pasteurization is also named after Louis Pasteur. Okay, this is about Louis Pasteur. So now let's see about the next scientist, that is Robert Koch. And this Robert Koch is a German physician and pathologist, and he identified the causative agent for tuberculosis in the year 1882. Okay, he identified causative agent for the tuberculosis, and he also derived proteins from the tuberculosis causative agent, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So he uh, done a major work in the disease of tuberculosis, which is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, this microorganism is further analyzed, and he also derived a protein called tuberculin from this mycobacterium, and he worked on this particular causative agent of tuberculosis. And in the later part, in the year 1883, he also identified causative agent of cholera, that is Vibrio cholerae. Okay, cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae, and he identified this Vibrio cholerae as the causative agent of cholera. And in the later part, he also studied the life cycle of anthrax. Okay, here uh, we should also connect the previous concepts, that is Louis Pasteur. He also worked on the anthrax disease for cattle. Okay, here the life cycle of anthrax is studied by this Robert Koch in the 1876, whereas uh, Louis Pasteur, he worked on anthrax disease, which is caused in the cattle. Okay, and he introduced staining technique. This particular Robert Koch, he introduced staining technique, and he explained, and he also explained how we can grow bacteria in solid medium, and the solid medium is the artificial medium to grow microorganisms in the laboratory. Okay, so we can also grow microorganisms in the laboratory conditions by using artificial solid medium. So the solid medium concept is brought into the limelight by this Robert Koch. And also in the 1876 he gave germ theory of diseases. Okay, this germ theory of diseases is nothing but to identify any microorganism. If we follow postulates of germ theory, we can identify the causative agent. Okay, this causative agent for any new disease can be identified by using this germ theory. Okay, in this germ theory, he explained few postulates. Okay, and he explained those postulates, and we have four postulates in the germ theory. So let's see what are those postulates. Of course we should see these postulates in detail in the next class, but just let's see the outline. For this germ theory, what he did is first have taken a deceased animal, okay, animal which is infected with the disease, and he isolated the pathogen which is present in that dead animal, and he had grown that particular microorganism in the artificial medium, and again he isolated the organisms which are present in the artificial medium, and again he infected or injected that particular microorganisms to the new healthy animal, and again this particular animal is infected with the disease, and it undergoes the disease, and it is dead at the end. And again this particular healthy animal which was died, this animal's blood or any sample is taken, and it is observed under microscope for the causative agent. And here the first bacterial plate, or the first plate on which we have grown this particular organisms, that plate and the last plate is identified. Both are differentiated, and by seeing the similarities we will identify the microorganism. Okay, so in this manner, by using this experiment, he developed this germ theory. Okay, Koch developed this germ theory. Okay, so this is about Robert Koch, and now let's move to the next scientist, that is Joseph Lister. Okay, Joseph Lister. So Joseph Lister, he is meant for his work in the surgeries. Okay, so he developed a antiseptic surgery method. Okay, he developed a antiseptic surgery method. Okay, that means he designed a protocol based on scientific principle to prevent microorganisms from entering into a wound during the surgery. So he developed a sterility antiseptic surgery methods by which we can eliminate the entry of microorganisms during a surgery into the wounds. Okay, and he is known for his contributions in the lactic acid fermentation also. And in the year 1878, he explained about milk souring. Okay, milk souring. About milk souring, he also explained about milk souring in the year 1878. So if we see about this Joseph Lister, he worked more and more on lactic acid and lactic acid products. Okay, so this Lister, he explained lactic acid fermentation, and he also explained milk souring, and he also explained about the uh, isolation of lactic acid bacteria from milk. Okay, so most of his works are in the based on the lactic acid bacteria and lactic acid, uh, and which is related to milk. Okay, and because of his contributions in the antiseptic surgery, he got the name father of antiseptic surgery. Okay, so he's also called as father of antiseptic surgery. Apart from his works in antiseptic surgery, he also worked more and more on lactic acid fermentation. Okay, lactic acid fermentation. Okay, so now let's move to the next scientist, that is Alexander Fleming. Alexander Fleming. So if we hear the name Alexander Fleming, and at the same time we'll remember penicillin, right? So here Alexander Fleming is worldwide has better known for the discovery of penicillin. Okay, so this is the first antibiotic that was developed, and he got all the appreciation for his discovery of this penicillin. Okay, so Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in the year 1927, and at that time he used to work as a microbiologist in the Saint Joseph Hospital in the London. Okay, so here for his let's see about his research work, and he conducted experiment in antibacterial for this antibacterial agents, and he worked on them like how these wounds are infected by different kinds of agents, and so he worked on this bacterial agents which are causing more wound infections, and so he worked on antibacterial agents. Okay, that means these bacterial agents are infecting the wounds, so he worked on the antibacterial agents which will stop the bacterial infections at the wounds. Okay, so he also worked on staphylococcus aureus bacteria. So he developed a plate culture for this Staphylococcus aureus bacteria, and he contaminated this Staphylococcus aureus with a molds. Okay, and this mold is no further, it doesn't contain any bacterial colonies. Okay, so by this experiment he identified that this particular staphylococcus aureus bacteria, when contaminated onto a mold, it this will doesn't cause any bacterial colonies. This mold is suppressing the staphylococcus aureus colonies. Okay, and in the later part he discovered bacteria inhibitory properties. That means bacteria can be inhibited, and few metabolic products like metabolic products of Penicillium notatum can inhibit the bacteria, and he called that substance as penicillin. Okay, he called that substance as penicillin. Okay, Fleming, he discovered a bacteria inhibiting property in Penicillium notatum which is caused by the substance penicillin. Okay, and finally for his contributions he got Nobel Prize in Physiology in the year 1945. Okay, and he shared his Nobel Prize with John Scott and his team members. And in the 1943 he got selected as Fellow of Royal Society. In the previous topic, who was selected as a Fellow of Royal Society? None other than father of microbiology, that is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, and here in the 1944 Alexander Fleming got a title called Knighted. Okay, the few kings or few countries, they give titles to people who give their contributions in different fields. So in the same manner Alexander Fleming got this knighthood title in the year 1944 for his great discovery of this penicillin. And in the same way he also discovered antibiotic lysozyme. Okay, antibiotic lysozyme. Okay, and our next scientist is Ilya Metchnikoff. Ilya Metchnikoff. So, if we say about Ilya Metchnikoff, this Ilya Metchnikoff is a Russian scientist. Okay, and we can call him as father of natural immunity. And why? Because he's the first person to recognize the role of phagocytes in uh, fighting against this bacterial infection. So he identified these phagocytes which are naturally present in our body, and these phagocytes fight against the antigens whenever they enter our body. Okay, so these phagocytes, they fight against the bacterial infections, and this was identified by Elie Metchnikoff. That's why we call him as natural father of natural immunity. And this presence of phagocytosis comes under natural immunity of humans. Okay, and this particular Elie Metchnikoff is a zoologist and also microbiologist. That means he works on microorganisms as well as in the animals, and he also got Nobel Prize in the year 1908 for his contributions under the physiology and medicine category. Okay, and he also described phagocytosis. So initially he identified phagocytes. Okay, that means phagocytes are fighting against bacterial infections was explained by him, and he also explained the process of phagocytosis. That means how these immune cells and different kinds of phagocytes, how they are fighting against bacterial or any antigens entering our body. Okay, so finally he described phagocytosis. So phagocytosis is the mechanism by which these phagocytes fight against the antigens, and in the similar manner, immune cells, few kinds of immune cells also fight against foreign particles by process called ingesting. That means these phagocytosis process is nothing but the ingestion of antigens which are entering our body. Basically, harmful antigens which are entering our body are ingested by these phagocytes, and the process is called as phagocytosis. Okay, and the process is called as phagocytosis. Okay, so here he also explained starfish larvae, how these starfish larvae uh, is protected by phagocytosis process or immune cells by ingestion of foreign particles. Okay, so he explained this phagocytosis or immune cells, how they are working in this starfish larvae. Okay, and he also described how certain leukocytes, how they ingest disease producing bacteria in our body. So here leukocytes are also immune cells, and these help in the elimination of unwanted or harmful bacteria. Okay, and in the 1865 Metchnikoff began a systematic study of development of germ layers in invertebrate embryos. So here in vertebrate embryos, germ layers will be developed, and this development of germ layers was explained in 1865 by this Elie Metchnikoff, and he devoted his studies, most of his studies, in the development of embryonic layers in lower animals. Okay, so what are his major contributions? He worked on development of germ layers and embryonic layers in vertebrates and also in the lower animals, and mostly he explained phagocytosis, identification of phagocytes fighting against antigens, harmful antigens. So these are his major contributions. Okay, so in this class we have discussed about Anton von Leeuwenhoek, Robert Koch, and also Elie Metcalfe, Joseph Lister, and Louis Pasteur. Will follow this class will be followed by the next topics. Thank you, students.